Steve, John, we just got some pretty surprising news today, and before we get to it though, Steve, do you remember a few months ago when we visited LEGO headquarters and got like a tour of the offices and the facilities and like the behind the scenes stuff? Do you remember that?
Of course I do. That was awesome. We saw all the history except for apparently what we're about to talk about, unfortunately.
The entire time I was thinking, why isn't there a Mario set? We saw Star Wars Lego, Harry Potter Lego, and tons of Disney Lego. But where was Mario? Well, today, they're finally fixing that because Nintendo of America randomly tweeted, something fun is being built. Stay tuned. And they posted a little video in which you see the camera pan down along what looks to be like a Mario figurine with a digital question block on his chest. And that's it. We don't see anything else. So at first I'm like, is this a game? Is it like a Lego type game or is it like a Lego set? Well, we kind of now know what it is because some further details came out from the website Stonewars, so this is unofficial but seems likely, where evidently there are going to be 13 sets related to this that range between $5 to $130 roughly, and they do seem to be like actual Lego kits. However, if you pay close attention to the trailer, if we want to call it that, you can see that various parts of Mario are actually screen-based, like the chest thing I just mentioned with the question block, his mouth too, and as well as his eyes. Which seems to suggest that they're kind of pulling like a Labo Lego thing here, where Mario might actually be a dock for the Switch, and you can presumably interact with it in some way. Anyways, that's a lot of details. Let's get to our raw reaction. What do you think? Mario Lego's finally happening. Is this cool or what?
I mean, we're going to spend a ton of money on this thing, and you'll be doing like, I don't know, dozens of hour streams building this stuff, but it's really cool. I can't wait to see what this actually is. And when I first saw this, the first thing that came to my mind was building Peach's castle. I can't wait to just do this giant Mario-themed project. It's going to be so cool.
Man, that would be amazing. I'll be honest though, I feel like if Peach's castle were like, well, if they were going to do it the amount of justice I want, and by that I mean like Hogwarts level complexity, I could see that being a lot more than even the highest price they've listed. But yeah, I'm really excited for these. I've been wanting Nintendo themed, not just Mario, but Nintendo themed Legos forever. Do you guys remember, I want to say it was like close to 8 or 9 years ago now when some fan submitted a Legend of Zelda themed Lego kit and it just gained insane amounts of traction and Lego had to be like, hey, like Nintendo's probably not cool with this and kind of shut the whole thing down. I feel like this has probably been in the works since around that time. Like I feel like that might have shown both companies that there's a significant overlap between their fan bases. And I'm glad that we're finally seeing something. I'm really hyped. I think Mario is probably the best property to do Legos with, first off. What do you guys think?
As Andre was saying earlier, pretty much all brands have done Lego at some point. It's kind of strange that they haven't done this, they've waited this long to do this. Because, of course, there's Harry Potter Lego, there's Batman Lego, there's so many different brands that have gotten on this collaboration. So it's kind of weird they've waited this long until now, but it makes so much sense. Like, this is one of the biggest brands in the world, crossing over with another biggest brand in the world. It was inevitable.
On Mario Day, no less, March 10th, so a very fitting announcement. It's like I said earlier, kind of. It's shocking this just didn't happen earlier. Like, Mario's been huge for, 30 years, over 35 years. Why did it take this long? But, it's finally happening. Nintendo's finally broadening their horizons, with theme parks, movies, and now Lego. So, I feel like we're, still in the early days of, of all the potential crossovers we could be getting, and I don't even know what's going to happen next. But as for this specific set, with Mario on the way, and again, I agree with Steve. I'd love to see more Nintendo stuff. But assuming it's just Mario, there is just so much potential there with the kits it can make. As you were saying, John, the Peach's Castle will be amazing to build. They could build a whole Mushroom Kingdom. I would love a full Mario 64 kit. You can rebuild those stages from Mario 64. I remember seeing early artwork or renders of them in Nintendo Power, and they look like they could basically be Lego kits. Could you imagine building Bob-omb Mountain and plopping King Bob-omb up at the top, or Womp's Fortress, and you got your King Womp up there?
That'd be so cool.
That would be amazing.
Oh, here's a question. If there's a Toad Lego figure, can we take off the mushroom on his head, or will that just be stapled to the head body? Will that be a hat?
Oh man, this might finally once and for all be our canon answer to whether it's a hat or not. My guess would be it's going to be part of it.
That's a really good question, because typically Lego people have those weird like connectors on the tops of their heads so that you can swap out hats. I'm actually gonna go against the grain here and say that if we get a toad, that the mushroom will be a hat.
Wow. All right. We'll see, Steve. We'll see. This is the big question. So, unfortunately, we don't have a release date yet for when these will be hitting, as far as I know. So we don't know how long it'll be until we have our answer. But what I want to know is, how are they using this Mario figure? So just to clarify, what it looks to be is that Mario looks to be like basically a dock or more of a holder for your Switch, kind of like how various Labo kits will work. So you'll put your Switch presumably in vertically. And by the way, Daniel over at Vooks.net made an amazing GIF showing how the Switch will fit in perfectly. You can even see like what appears to be the bottom edge of the Switch peeking out through Mario's overalls at the bottom. So yeah, it looks like you'll plug in your Switch. It'll be what's responsible for the sounds and visuals on not just Mario's chest with the question block there, which I'm not quite sure what else they could put there. Chest hair, maybe? But then you also have his mouth, which you can clearly see as a screen along with his eyes, as you pointed out, Steve. And which means like Mario can express different kinds of emotions. So I'm wondering, what are they gonna do with this? Like, is it just going to be like a fun little thing to play with, or will there be like a game element to this, which would make sense given the whole like Mario connection? And now I'm thinking, like, how crazy can they go with this? Because presumably the Joy-Cons aren't attached inside him, so you'll have those as well. Maybe you could scan in some Lego bricks as if they were like amiibo and like interact with Mario that way.
I think that's an interesting idea, Andre. I don't think we got to talk about this too much when we visited Lego last October, but they have a similar idea in their restaurant where you build Lego bricks and you scan them to order food. That's not like a super crazy idea. You could definitely pull that off with the Joy-Con's IR camera. But I do think that there might be the option to use Joy-Con to scan minifigs or something like that, like Mario-themed minifigs to somehow interact with. They're definitely, if that is a Switch in the Mario figure, there has to be some kind of companion piece of software that works with it, right? Yeah. Because the Switch doesn't just support something that crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this really does seem like to be like a Lego Labo kit almost. Like, they'll probably come with cartridge, there'll be a cartridge within at least the more expensive sets. You plug into the Switch, and they'll give you access to whatever games you need. Maybe there'll be multiple games. Maybe they'll be set dependent. Although, my guess would be it's probably I would assume it's probably one game that works across all the sets.
Yeah, I'm just trying to picture what they could possibly do with the Mario one, though, because, of course, the eyes and mouth, they're pretty obvious, but that little question mark box in his chest is a pretty big amount of screen real estate, and the question mark kind of seems like a placeholder for what could be there, but I can't picture how they're going to use that space. Like, are they going to have a game running there? If so, I mean, that's still a pretty small field of view there, so I can't imagine what they're going to do with that.
I actually have a thought on this.
Uh-huh.
I think that this Mario figure is a companion to a tabletop game of some kind.
Oh, man, that would be... you know what's funny is I was just thinking along those lines, like, what if there's like a chess set or something, but I think something even... more imaginative than that would be cool.
Yeah, I think that it'll just be like... Yeah, I think that there's a possibility that we have like a Mario tabletop game, let's just say a board game. You use Mario minifigs to play. Maybe you even scan them in with your Joy-Con so that either through NFC or through the IR camera or something. And then as you're playing, some event happens on the board, and that Mario, the question block in his chest reveals what the player get. Like, you hit the block and you get 5 coins or something to that effect.
Well, we know there are 13 different parts of this Mario series set, so... Is this Mario one itself, is that going to be one of the cheaper ones or more of the expensive ones? Because the figurine is at least the size of a Switch, which means it's pretty sizable. So to me, I don't think it's going to be on the lower end of cost. This is probably somewhere in the mid-range, maybe around, like 30, 50 euros.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough to say, right? If it's compatible with all the sets, it probably wouldn't come with all of them, like, included. So would it just be its own standalone thing that's compatible with the others? Or would there maybe be like a base set that comes out first that kind of, better increases the chances that people will have Mario before they buy the expansion sets later on?
Right. One of them's 100 euros, so we know this is definitely going to get pretty expansive. And maybe there'll be even more sets in the future. But yeah, these things can get pretty pricey.
Yeah, I optimistically see this being in the middle, like you said, John, around 40 or 50 euros. or about $60, because if it does indeed hold a Switch, you also have to have a $300 companion device for it. So I don't think it'd be too smart of them to price it at the high end, considering you also have to have a Switch for it.
Well, that didn't stop them for the robot kit.
That is true. Nintendo's gonna Nintendo no matter what.
Yeah, this is such a Nintendo thing to do. Like, it seems like just to be, I mean, based on our speculation, this seems to be like just a fun way of like incorporating Mario, the whole like video game idea of Nintendo, along with what Lego does, being making these cool figures. And we haven't really seen like how the actual figures themselves are going to work, or what the kits are. Like, we're just completely speculating here. But yeah, I really am curious to see like the level of interplay they have, because this could really be kind of what takes Lego to the next level. Because Lego's no stranger to video games. Both like their own video games like Lego City, I think, but also the branded ones you mentioned, like Lego Star Wars, or I think there's probably a Lego Harry Potter game. Maybe there's been a whole bunch of them.
There's been tons.
Yeah, but this seems to be like, this could be like something in between those two, where the video games are handled by the Mario Switch here, but then they interact with these actual Lego figurines and sets. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, imagine, I just thought of a perfect companion game.
Okay.
What if the next Mario Maker theme is Lego?
Oh!
Like you're building Lego sets in Mario Maker.
That could be freaking cool. Like, every block is like a little Lego block. You see like the little circular things popping out on top.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Now, I want that to happen so bad, and I never knew I wanted it.
I mean, that could happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Nintendo does love their synergy these days, and the original Mario Maker had a ton of crossovers. Yeah, so that'd be pretty neat. And speaking of the whole idea of like building things, I do find that like a little ironic that we're now finally building blocks as opposed to just destroying them in every Mario game.
I also love when the camera pans down after showing the Mario figurine, you can just sort of see the regular brown Mario blocks. So it seems like we are just going to be like building our own little Mario environments. And I think there's even a question mark box with a kind of, almost like a bulby bottom, almost like a Lego head kind of insert at the bottom there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it definitely seems like we're getting some other stuff with this.
What if there is a Super Nintendo World set? You can build your own Super Nintendo World at home out of Lego.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking about the fact that Super Nintendo World is obviously going to have some exclusive merchandise, and Lego loves to do exclusive sets based on landmarks in the real world. So I think it's almost like a slam dunk to have a Super Nintendo World themed set, especially considering how long or how soon that's going to open. Like, the timing seems almost suspect.
You're going to walk into Andre's living room and that'd be the first thing you see. It'd be proudly displayed in the center.
I'm already planning to replace my toilet with a warp pipe. Man, I wish this came out 30 years ago, because obviously, like, if I were a kid, I would be stoked. I would be so excited for whatever this ends up being. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still a little excited. But like, if I were a kid, I'd probably be losing my mind.
At least if you actually like step on these Lego bricks, you can at least make Mario noises, like yeah.
There we go. Well, Mario might do that himself, since he has a Switch in there. He might be talking to you. He might be talking to you directly through this.
Oh God, is this how Nintendo opens the smart speaker market? We have a Mario doll with a Switch in it.
Oh my God. I'm really curious to see those animations. Like, they could do some really fun stuff here, and I do wonder, like, just how interactive he is on a physical level. Like, I already predicted the gold buttons on his overalls would be buttons, but that makes too much freaking sense. They better be. Also, his arms, do you think they move? I mean, Lego arms usually move, so maybe that could be another point of interaction if they can somehow convey that to the Switch.
Ooh, that's true. What if you somehow use Mario's arm like a slot machine, and that's how you interact with the screen on his chest, like pull it.
And you know what? There's actually a little bit of precedent for this too, is because there was a figurine that looked very similar to this in Super Mario Land 2, in the Mario Zone, where there's this giant mechanical Mario figure, and like parts of him would like slide around and move, like his arms would move, as I recall. And the whole idea of that land, by the way, was that it was built out of Lego bricks. were actually NNB bricks, which is which is how Nintendo used to compete with Lego way back in the day when they made only children's toys. They actually basically directly competed with Lego. So it's kind of a little bit ironic that they're working together now, just like how they're now working with Universal on Super Nintendo World after they got sued for infringing or allegedly infringing on King Kong's rights with Donkey Kong. So it seems like Nintendo's just mending all these fences recently in order to do all this kind of crossover potential.
Yeah, the Mario Land 2 comparison is actually a great one. I'm staring at this image right now, and it resembles it so closely.
It's identical, pretty much, yeah.
It's probably, unless they're remaking it, it's probably too deep of a cut to actually reference that game that came out decades ago
it's
now. But
pure happenstance.
It'd be so awesome if they did.
Yeah, it's a total coincidence, but it is kind of funny that it's kind of come full circle like this. So, do you guys have any final thoughts on the Mario set and what exactly you expect from it or hope for from it?
I just want to see more. I can't wait to get certain Mario figures and just take their heads off. Like, as soon as I get Waluigi, his head is going across the room.
My God. John,
wow,
I never knew you were so
that
violent.
went to a dark place. Like you said, Andre, I think I'm really hoping we get Peach's Castle. Super Mario 64 just is such a huge game for me, and I would love to see a set themed on that. But honestly, I'm just excited to see anything. I want to see, like what a Mario minifig looks like. If we get enemies, who are we getting? I want to see Bowser. I want to see Goombas with the little, telltale Lego peg on the top of their heads. I'm just really excited to see it. I hope we get an Odyssey themed one for that matter. I'd love to be able to take like a Goomba and put Cappy and a mustache on it so it looks like it's Mario. I'm just really excited to play with these things.
I'm curious how they'll handle floating blocks, because they're, of course, a huge part of Mario. Will they just have, like, transparent blocks or something, or will they just not float at all?
Oh, man, that's... You know what? I thought the answer was so obvious to me. It was just attached to the side, but the Lego bricks don't usually attach from the side, do they?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they can make an exception, but yeah, I don't know how they'll do that.
They could add, like, an extension, like have a brick, like a question block with a thinner section that extends behind it, and then that would layer onto like a background piece. It wouldn't be too dissimilar to how they're handling it in Super Nintendo World, at least based on the background scenery, where like they're physically attached to the scenery, Or maybe they'll put a whole bunch of magnets in this board and just levitate the question blocks using different polarities.
I mean, that would be very cool if they can make that happen.
So if this takes off, what else do you want to see? Because Nintendo, like the Nintendo World's their oyster. We could see Zelda sets. Like you could have like a Hyrule Field set, or like a dungeon set where you can like build your own dungeons.
When you said a Hyrule set, I just imagine them making the entirety of Breath of the Wild's Hyrule in Lego. Imagine the scale of that thing.
It's so great.
But yeah, I can't wait to see what they do. It's kind of cool that Sonic actually has a Lego figurine from Lego Dimensions, so technically both Mario and Sonic are now in the Lego realms. So maybe it's time to make the entire Super Smash Bros. Roster Lego. Just get everything.
Wow, that's a leap. How sad is it though that we're getting Lego Mario after Lego Dimensions is done?
Yeah,
We're so close to having Mario and Sonic in a 3D adventure game.
Well, actually, here's a question then. Now that we know, based on the further information that's not official, by the way, but it seems to be pretty solid that these are in fact, actual physical Lego sets. Are you disappointed at all that this isn't an actual like a full Lego game? Along the lines of Star Wars or Harry Potter or whatever else.
I'm not, because this kind of opens up the possibilities of there being one.
True.
It's not necessarily disappointing that it hasn't been revealed at the start. I think there's definitely still a chance. But yeah, just getting Mario and Lego doing anything together, that's exciting on its own.
Yeah, and I guess you do kind of need the Lego sets first before you make the Lego game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's also really hard for me to want to turn over Mario to anybody else. Like, it's not like I ever go, man, this Mario game would have been better if someone else made it. So it's really difficult for me to say like one of the greatest franchises ever made needs a new developer. But that being said, I'd love to see a Mario game or a Lego Mario game made by Nintendo. That would be my ideal. I love the art style, and I love the look of Lego games. I just think Mario is as close to perfect mechanically as games get.
Yeah, one of the coolest parts of Lego games is the huge rosters you get. Like playing a Star Wars Lego game and being like having access to all these different characters, or a Marvel game. So just having a Mario Lego game and being able to like play as Mario and Daisy and Wario and just the entire Mario cast, even Bowser, that would just be super cool.
That is true.
Yeah, I'd love a Mario Kart set too, where you have all those characters and you can build like these different racetracks. I want to build the World of Double Dash in its entirety through Lego. Fully interconnected.
Andre's whole living room floor is just Mario Kart tracks.
So I had one final thought, guys. So we've already talked about how you'll presumably slide your Switch into the Mario here. It'll display things on the chest, the mouth, and the eyes. But we forgot something. This is a touchscreen. You can poke Mario in the eye. Do you think he will react to this?
Man, everyone's gonna do it.
I think so. I imagine you had just heard like Charles Martinet clips coming out of the speaker, just going like, "Oh,
Mamma mia!" This is such a novel idea. Like I feel like only Nintendo and Lego would have done this. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like it's really fun to see all the novel ways we're seeing Nintendo use the Switch. Like I think they had hinted at this initially, but it's the kind of thing that companies always like hype up at the beginning. You never see it like come to fruition. But no, they're taking full advantage of it between Labo, Lego, and I'm sure other initiatives we're going to see. Like it's fun to see just how versatile that system really is.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future. And you never know what they're going to do next. When Labo was first announced, none of us could have predicted that. And if you told me that Nintendo were doing a Lego collaboration months ago, I would have just thought they were doing like regular Lego sets, and I wouldn't have predicted whatever this is. So yeah, it's just exciting to see where they go next.
Yeah. So I think that about covers it for the Lego set itself, but there is one final point I want to bring up here, and that is the fact that the website game.uk, is that right, John? You're more familiar with
yes. Game.co.uk.
They put out they put out like an update about the Lego set on their website, in which they said, heard about the partnership between Lego and Nintendo? The latest Nintendo Direct announced their exciting collaboration, the first time that the two brands have worked together. And then they say a couple more things, but that's the point I want to talk about. The fact that they mentioned a Nintendo Direct. So the question is, do you think they actually had like insider knowledge as to if there was a Direct, and if so, like is that accurate? Like was there a Direct that was originally planned for around this time that was maybe delayed, and they announced the whole Mario set's independent of it? What do you guys think?
It's possible. Personally, I believe that people just confuse Nintendo announcements with Directs quite often. I'm always seeing people refer to some tweet Nintendo had as a Direct, just because I think that's how we get Nintendo news. So it's quite an easy mistake, but it's not impossible though.
Right. I'm with John. I don't think that they had any advanced knowledge of a Direct. Also, whoever wrote this page probably isn't the same person who got the news from Nintendo. So there's probably a bit of like telephone going on, like, hey, Nintendo's announcing this, and the person typing the copy was just like, oh yeah, it's definitely a Direct. This would be a thing that's in a Direct. Or like John said, there's like, we talk about these Nintendo Direct threads, and people call everything a Direct. Like Nintendo has an indie showcase, and they're like, oh man, look at this Nintendo Direct.
It really is like the new, how every video game console is a Nintendo, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Nintendo's done it again, just now with news.
And to be honest, this is the announcement that wouldn't be in a Direct. Like they're very particular with what goes into a Direct. Like Ring Fit wasn't in a Direct, Labo wasn't in a Direct. This sort of stuff just comes on Twitter, and I wouldn't have expected to see this in a Direct.
That is a really good point. Yeah, this would be a little bit unusual for a Nintendo Direct. But, again, patterns don't really matter when it comes to Nintendo, so who's to say for sure. But, I also wonder, I don't know the exact timing on this game posting here, so I think there's also a chance that it was just based on what we know too. Like maybe they don't know any more than we do, and they just literally just type Direct. But yeah, I don't think it means a whole lot in and of itself. So maybe a Direct is delayed, maybe it wasn't. It doesn't really matter that much. So yeah. Anyways, I think we're about done here. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and click that subscribe button if you haven't already to keep up to date on even more LEGO Super Mario set related stuff, because I'm sure we'll have more as soon as we can, and everything else Nintendo too. We'll catch you later. Bye.